As aforementioned, I am a journalist from South China Morning Post, and I would just like to ask one question to the delegate of Indonesia and USA. For US in specific, you imposed an increase in tax to 70% from 40%, and then for the crude palm oil to 55% from 37.5%. The sudden change may seem like a betrayal on transparency to the people and just the market in general. May I ask if you have any rebuttal or statement to give out to everyone, an apology maybe, or just a statement that would be appreciated? Thank you very much.
Shall I answer that first, or shall we contain all of the question first? Okay, so we directly answer it for the United States. Okay, so first of all, United States would like to say that right now, under the Trump administration, the Trump itself has signed many executive bills, even more than 150 bills since his 100 days in the office of the President of the United States for the first term. And therefore, United States of America, we believe that we are clear in here, our stance are clear, that right now the tax itself are being, sorry, could you clarify, are you saying that the tax is increased or it was decreased? Could you please clarify the tax part?
The tax is increased from before it was agreed from 40%, then you increased it to 70%. I would just like a clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay, so to clarify right now, as we know, President Trump is driven by the notion to make America great again. He wants to add more jobs. And in order to ensure that our social welfare will still be sustained, we need more income. Especially our country right now is in the middle of COVID-19 pandemic with more than 2.5 million cases, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, we believe that it is important. And if our administration do raises tax in palm oil itself, then it will ensure, well, if we see at the scope itself, at the spectrum itself, environmentally, we'll be assuring those people to be responsible because we are raising the tax, so they will not be too lenient not to achieve their target on sustainability as mentioned by the US Environmental Protection Agency. And second of all, with the tax raise itself, we believe that it will not hamper the small holders of palm oil and the common people itself, because we are lowering tax on the other sectors, but we are putting up tax in this palm oil. Why? Because here's the thing, the logic is, if we like close one hole, we don't want to dig another hole to create a new hole. So therefore, we believe that increasing the tax in palm oil is important because palm oil business, especially we are the biggest exporter, we have a large market capital there. So we think that it's still proportional to raise the tax itself. So I think it's still, it's not going to be intransparent. Of course, we are transparent and the data is all over the internet, even in the WikiLeaks, I believe. However, I believe that right now, what we should not concern is about transparency, but where the tax will be allocated. And therefore, I believe our government already have the tax scheme for it. And our trust fund in the multilateral forum is still going. We're still donating to it. We're still paying our contributions, our retributions. So yeah, that's to answer your question.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that's all from me. The next journalist can go.
Okay, before we proceed with the press conference, a journalist of BBC, can you please read the news? I'm sorry for that, we haven't released the news yet. Okay, I'm going to read the news. So we just received a news from the Wall Street Journal. The US have increased import duties on Indonesian palm oil products, but the Department of Commerce of the United States has enacted import duty for refined palm oil to 70% from previously 40%, and crude palm oil to 55% from 37.5%. The duty increase is seen as contradictory to previous decision made by the Court of International Trade that has ordered the U.S. Department of Commerce to revisit its countervailing duties on Indonesian biodiesel. The U.S. has had duties on Indonesian biodiesel since late 2017, but Indonesian exports to the U.S. effectively ended in 2016. The countervailing duties range between roughly 35 to 65%, and in 2018, the Department of Commerce also slapped the anti-dumping duties of up to 341% on Indonesian biodiesel. The US Department of Commerce has not responded when asked for a statement, but seeing that the US election is a week away, it could be seen as the last resort of Donald Trump on taking credit for protecting its domestic soybean industries. So maybe the next journalist, you can ask the question, the journalist of Reuters. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, for the time. So I want to ask the delegation of USA. USA has not been fulfilled the agreement between Indonesia and USA itself due to the high tax. Regarding the data from Sawit Watch Executive Director, there has been 35% smallholders in Indonesia. Within the latest policy, will there be any responsibility from the USA itself, especially for the small stakeholders, because it will disadvantage them the most? And I also want to ask Indonesia, can I have the opinion regarding the situation? Thank you.
Indonesia will respond first. Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
Thank you very much. Of course, in case of the increasing tariff, Indonesia is regretting the decision of United States. Why? Because United States in this discussion is already supporting the principle of sustainability, especially regarding smallholder farmers. And we admit in this conference that this kind of sustainability, increasing capacity of smallholders, can only happen if the export of Indonesia is increasing, because we are trying to enable them financially sustainable so that they are able to improve from unsustainable method of farming, for instance, slash and burn, into a more sustainable one, which is, for instance, using bulldozers in terms of land clearing and so on. This is why imposing tariff is regressive toward the sustainability, because at the end of the day, who are impacted the most is the small farmer holders that are we are disabling them from improving, and we see that the progress today is great. We do not see why United States need to, cancel this progress that is made by Indonesian smallholders.
Okay, thank you, Anisha. United States, could you please answer my question?
Okay, so to answer the narrative that being sent to the chat and also being elaborated by the press. So first of all, thank you very much. Now, yes, we realize that election is 1 week away. So therefore, we know that every president would like to increase their popularity, so to say. But however, in this matter, United States of America would like to clarify that it is first of all, it is part of our American first principles. Our commitment to the multilateral forum and other frameworks is still there, but however, please be mindful. For example, if Indonesia giving us the slander that we are pulling out, well, first of all, this cannot be judged from a news based on this day only. It's quite a medium until long term if we see on the effect itself. And I believe with the election 1 week away after the announcement with the new president, perhaps new policy will be made, and perhaps the thing that we have been stopping before will be continued again, because we don't know who will win the election, because every president has their own priority. And therefore, clarifying why do we prioritize soybean over palm oil before the election in this particular crisis, for example, it's because right now our soybean market, since President Obama takes office, all of those companies has been running out of United States, and now we are pulling them back. They're coming back to America, add more jobs, at 4 million jobs, as mentioned by President Trump on his speech. And therefore, we believe that in this matter, I think prioritizing soybean in the middle of the crisis like this, especially after the company pulling out, it's not a problem. It's our unilateral concerns right now, rather than multilateral concerns. And then asking about Indonesia, for example, you have to understand Indonesia that US is having their own scientific technological advancement. So I think that our practices of sustainability and biodiversity is much more advanced. So therefore, we are sharing it right now from our best practices to the international community. And then right now, we can assure that this deal will not be merely stopped. Although it's now stopped, it's now slapped with anti-dumping policies, but we believe right now it's still on the range of it's still on the range of 341%. I think it's not tremendously worse. It's still on the safe level. We are still playing in the safe ground right now. And then the United States would like to also clarify that right now, regarding the crude palm oil from 55 to 35 to from 70 to 40%. Sorry, I think this is a wrong number because you guys say 40 to 70, not 70 to 40. But however, United States to our last argument is we need to redefine more our perspective to this matter, because if you are if all of these countries in here are, or the forum or the press itself questioning United States for doing our protectionism in the middle of the crisis, while we must to do so, please remember that it's our unilateral decision. That's first, and then second of all, regarding the decision made by the Court of International Trade that has ordered U.S. Department of Commerce to revisit its countervailing duties on Indonesian biodiesel, we will revisit it. And I believe, although we revisit it, the margin will not be too big. Okay, so it's still not a tremendous effect from the spillovers. So it's still on the safe zone, so to say. And I believe all of the countries know in here that the cash flow of each nation are quite shocking right now, because we have to fund a lot of social welfare programs. So therefore, I believe this is justifiable. Thank you.
May Indonesia respond again?
If Indonesia allowed to respond, the US would like to reply if Indonesia already state their statement.
Okay, due to time constraint, Indonesia, you cannot respond again because we still have one other journalist to ask the question. If it's all right, maybe when the time is still available, you can do that. But right now, we're moving forward for the next journalist.
Okay, the delegation of the United States. The way you say about protection of your soybean industry, I can see this increase of duties as a discrimination toward Indonesia, because as the news said, it specifically targets Indonesia. But if your target is to protect your soybeans, where are the extra tariffs or other duties from countries that also produce soybeans that you import from? Why is it only Indonesia? Thank you.
Could you repeat the sentence before why is Indonesia? Could you repeat the sentence, because I think your mic is buzzing. Could you repeat the sentence?
Okay. The duties that are increased are only from Indonesia. Other countries that produce soybeans that you import from did not receive an increase. Why is this? Because if your goal is to protect your soybeans, why are they not being increased?
Okay, so first of all, to answer that, I believe it's a matter of trade-off. But however, please note that on the WTO itself, United States are clearly supporting the ASEAN countries, Indonesia and Malaysia, on their trade policy dispute in palm oil, in which the chairman right now are still discussing on the chamber regarding the dispute settlement mechanism. And we are still endorsing that matter. That's first. And the trade-off, why Indonesia? First of all, it means that Indonesia is our strategic partner, because we have a big quantity there. So why only Indonesia? Because we believe by putting it to Indonesia first will reverse the effect into our country, because America first, as you know. But however, it will not be prolonged. We can assure you it will not be prolonged. It will be pulled over again. After when? After the US trade representative has determined, especially in ASEAN, the USTR office in ASEAN countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, has determined that it is safe to do so. So please note that this is not a temporary. And we see that the statement they are being thrown by to the United States in here are questioning their sovereignty in trade itself. Of course, we maintain our sovereignty. And please note that the largest contributor to the United Nations funding system is United States. We are the #1 largest fund donators to UN funding windows. And therefore, all of the international funds that are coming is from the American taxpayers. And right now, when we are doing something to keep our donation to UN going, preserved, and we are saving one field, which is soybean, Now we are being pointed with guns right now in the multilateral forum. We cannot. This is a tremendous slander towards the United States. However, United States will once again re-emphasize that the other countries, for example, European Union, maybe our export import might not be more than for let's say 15 or 20% there. But we believe that Indonesia is one of the tropical country with the most strategic soil, with the most strategic forestry and agriculture expectation. So therefore, we put it to Indonesia only because I believe because they're the most substantial one. US is the friend of Indonesia. Please remember that. Please remember also the program of USA, where we give to the developing countries to empower themselves, and we are not even redefining it into our political interests because it's on humanitarian solidarity. So I think
I'm sorry, the time has elapsed for the press conference. For the chair's the UNEP discussion, do we need extra time for other delegates to respond to the questions?
Yeah, I think we can afford to have one more.
Okay, 5 minutes is in order. Okay, can you please add 5 minutes to the press conference? Okay, maybe delegation of Indonesia has requested to respond on beforehand. So is the timer ready? Okay, the timer is ready. Delegation of Indonesia, you may respond to the question as well.
In this council, United States is backlashing themselves. Why? We spend time naming and shaming EU Renewable Energy Directive because the principle of protectionism, because they are protecting the rapeseed oil market within the European Union. However, United States is also increasing the tax on palm oil to protect the existence of soybean oil in their country. This is a huge backlash coming from United States. Second thing that we want to point out is that do not buy the explanation of United States regarding the explanation of why it is justified. Notice that they give a very illogical reason of upcoming election in 1 week. This is unreasonable, seeing that the risk that they are putting for that mere election in 1 week is the smallholders' situation on Indonesia. They are trying to sacrifice the sustainability of Indonesia's farmers, sustainability of Indonesia's improvement in palm oil, just for the sake of election in few weeks. This is why the reason, whatever reason, long explanation that US given should not be taken for granted. And we must see it from the perspective of those who are sacrificed by this kind of policy, which is palm oil producers, especially Indonesia.
okay. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Delegation of Indonesia. Under the editor-in-chief discretion, Malaysia, can you please speak? Then the United States can respond after that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. So we're going to utilize these situations to highlight what is problematic from the narrative and why at the end of the day, we agree with the statement coming from the delegate of Indonesia that's saying that the United States of America is currently backlashing their instance. Number one, in terms of the legal perspective. Notice in the General Agreement Trade and Tariffs 1994 Article 1.1 also offered by the technical barriers to trade agreement and agreement on subsidies of countervailing measures. We can see on how the United States not only imposing their protectionism nature towards the soybean oil, but also being incredibly discriminative towards the palm oil utilizations, while as in the previous sessions respective press, they have already stated that they are the main importers of palm oil. This is something that is currently contradictory, and this is something that we, not only Malaysia, but also Indonesia, could bring to the WTO, particularly to the dispute settlement body, to resolve together with the DS 593, which is the current dispute between Indonesia and EU, with Malaysia as the third party in certain measures concerning palm oil and all palm-based biofuels as a response to the Renewable Energy Directive of EU. That's the legal perspective. Number two, regarding the sustainability. Notice that when we talk about deforestation, the second driver of deforestation in agriculture is specifically caused by the soybean oil. We have already justified to you, respective press, in the previous discussions on how palm oil at the end of the day is the most lucrative since it is a much more low energy and a low fertilizer crop. A palm oil provides a much higher oil yields. Hence, when it talks about the sustainability and concerns about the environmental, we, Malaysia, and and together with Indonesia have proven to you why at the end of the day, the soybean oil cannot utilize the narrative of we are much more sustainable and so on and so forth. Three, regarding the economic point of view that is brought up in this narrative. Notice that the U.S. Department of Commerce has not responded as for the statement because they realize they are implementing the protectionism at the very first place. We already proven to you on how protectionism is actually something that is harmful towards the driver of the economy, given that it does not allow competitions, allows a market diversity and competitions to flourish at the very first place. Hence, not to mention that United States journals also mention on how protectionism is actually one of the cause for the world for a trade war to begin at the very first place. Under the three concerns that we already mentioned, which is the legal basis, the sustainability concerns, and also the economic outview itself, we would like for United States of America to actually justify why under your point of view and why under your policy these three points are not backlashing your stances. Thank you.
Okay, United States, you have 20 seconds left before it elapses. Do you want to comment anything on that?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Madam Press, and all distinguished delegates. So first of all, U.S. is also part of the Dispute Settlement 593 in the WTO. And we believe that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has its framework on agricultural baseline projection. And therefore, please note that the soybeans itself are mostly imported to United States, to the state of Indiana. So it's not an average commodity in United States compared to palm oil. So therefore, we would like to also say to Indonesia right now that the U.S. trade representative already met with the President Joko Widodo, I believe, on the G20 summit on Osaka. So I believe we have already signed a deal there. And therefore, if you're throwing that statement, then you will be against your own president notion for it. Thank you very much. Okay. So please understand Joko Widodo interest also in here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, delegates, for your time and excitement for the press conference. However, we need to end the press conference now, so good luck for the conference. Thank you.